On here, and what I want to share with you in this is the actual consultation. We went over the thought process, some basic training on how to connect from the place in your heart. Let's actually talk about the strategy. So first things first, they come in, you go through the yes ladder, get them agreeing, make them feel comfortable. After that, you're going to take the consultation form. Let's see where that is. Consultation form. Cool. So we have our consultation form here. And we're going to say, great, so fill out their name. Okay, cool, what do you do for a living? And I asked this question to get an idea of, are they sedentary, what their lifestyle is like, or if they're a stay-at-home mom. It gives me an idea that, okay, they'll want to train more often, or, you can start to kind of gauge where they're coming from. Gives you a better idea of challenges they're going to face. And I say, great, any medications or physical ailments or injuries I should be aware of. Spend some time talking about that. Try to gain stories. I say, how did you hear about us? Usually Facebook referral. I typically know this already. And then what motivated you to come in today? After that, I say, great, so what's your overall goal at this point? And they will say, it's to lose weight or to feel better or whatever, the very surface level usually, and then, or sometimes they might open up right then and there, but not usually. And then say, what are you currently doing to work towards this goal? And then ask them what specific results they've seen from this. And you're asking them this to be honest with themselves once again, because if it was working that well, they probably wouldn't be in front of you, right? But it's important that we get them to open their eyes up to that. So here in a PowerPoint for you. So I always say, so one of the things that we're pressed for, and one of the biggest reasons why we don't get results, is because we're all pressed for time, right? So it's real important that we use all the time we have in our week so it's used most efficiently. So if you're going to train 3 times, this is exactly what I write out usually in pen and paper. If you're going to train 3 times per week, that time, based on your goal of losing 40 pounds, that time is best spent doing progressive strength training. Not to be confused with weightlifting, which I'll explain in a minute. If you have another 2 times of training your week based on your goal, you want to add in metabolic resistance training. After that, if you find another 2 times in your week, I don't say this for a joke, which I know I don't usually have, I always say, and then, we add in interval training. On top of that, we add in cardio if you have over 7 hours in your week to work out. And that is usually where most people unfortunately start. But the problem is, it is not a very effective use of our time, right? So let me explain to you the difference between progressive strength training and weightlifting. What I usually do is I draw out a periodization model like this, just a linear periodization, explain what intensity means by definition. Say, cool. So here's what you usually find is in our progressive strength training system, this would be time, and I would say, okay, 4 to 6 weeks at a time, 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, and this is intensity. Over time, we want to follow specific principles that make the training more intense. Now, by this definition of intensity, we're talking about how relatively heavy the weight is that we are lifting, not how many reps. We actually do less reps as time goes on, which is usually what's missed in big box gym programs or class programs, or if someone that just goes in and does the machines, they just kind of do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, something that might feel good for the moment, but it's not really taking them in a specific direction. Now, and explain how progressive strength training works. 3 sets, 15 reps, etc. And then here you go, maybe 4 sets of 10 reps, 70%. And then here we are doing 5 sets of 5 reps at 80%. Okay, and I say weeks 1 to 4. Let's say you're doing a squat, you use 15 pounds. Weeks 5 to 8, use 20 pounds. Weeks 9 to 12, you use 25 pounds. Versus big box gyms where you use the same weight for the same reps all the time. You can probably imagine that our body adapts to that, and it becomes less and less effective the more we do it. Don't you see? I say that for agreeance. I want them to agree with me because it is true. And I say, as all this is going on, this is really important. Say, as this is all going on, you're finding decreased weight loss and body fat, increased strength, tone and shape, increased metabolism, and increased energy. Now, when we repeat this pattern, Alice, and we restart this whole cycle, what weight are we going to be using for that same exact pattern and progression? Sometimes it might say less or more. No, actually the truth is we are going to be using more weight. and then you draw on the weights. So you start with 20, 25, and 30 this time. Now, the question is, Alice, did the weight get heavier or did we get stronger? We got stronger, didn't we? Yes. Get another yes. Perfect. But now they're seeing the difference between the things they've been doing wrong in the gym and what they need to be doing. And I say, how does this relate to fat loss, increasing metabolism, and creating shape and tone? And then I draw this out. And I say, if we do activities that are of low intensity versus high intensity, where's the energy coming from? If we burn 100 calories at low intensity, walking or sitting or a very, very light jog, most of those calories are actually coming from body fat, believe it or not. Whereas when we work harder, most of those calories are coming from glycogen or carbohydrates. Crazy, right? Because I'm only going to be asking you to be doing training at a higher intensity, which doesn't make any sense at first, doesn't. They're going to agree. Then we're going to say, here's the thing. We must do things that A, increase our metabolism in the long term, such as progressive strength training, and B, increase our metabolism in the short term, which is progressive strength training and metabolic resistance training. Thing is, if you spend all your time doing running and dieting, it actually slows down our metabolism. And you've seen this before. So how this works with short-term metabolic boosts, because we know long-term increase our metabolism will come from adding lean and toned muscle shape and tissue. But our increase our metabolism in the short term is what's called EPOC. And I literally draw this out, 2 little graphs. I say, traditionally, if this is based on intensity on the left side and time at the bottom, if we train in a moderate intensity, we could probably do that for a longer time, right? And so I'm saying things that they have to say yes to because it's true. So I draw out a really long line here and I just cut it off. And I say, now if we're doing higher intense training through progressive strength training, metabolic resistance training, it's at a higher intensity, so I draw it at a higher point. I say, but we can't do it as long because we get tired faster, right? And I draw it down. And I draw this and connect it on both sides and say, I'd start to scratch this in and say this is where all the good stuff happens, where you can find that we burn an additional 100, maybe 200, maybe 300 calories for another 24 to 72 hours. And the cool thing is that we basically burn more energy in less time training, which is important because we're all pressed for time, aren't we? Another factual statement. And I say, look at it this way. If you don't train for 24 hours between your workouts, your heart rate's down, right? Okay, great. So if you're burning another 100, 200, or 300 calories in those 24 hours, where are most of those calories coming from when your heart rate's down? And I point back to fat in our thing right here, a little chart I drew out. So it's connecting all the dots, see? And here's something I added in. And I say, so does that make sense why we train the way we train? Because usually what you find, and I don't have this drawn out, I'm sorry. I usually say, okay, if Jane Doe is at point A, 180 pounds, with a metabolism of 1,800 calories a day, and Jane Doe wants to get to point B where she's 140 pounds, and she does it through diet and cardio, what happens to her metabolism in the process? Does it speed up or slow down? And I usually answer it for them. I say, it actually slows down, believe it or not, because she lost muscle tissue. Guess what? Jane Doe doesn't like to run, and she doesn't like to diet. I don't think any of us do, right? And then I say, so she repeats this vicious cycle, and I start drawing the circle over and over and over again, where Jane Doe goes from point A to point B, point A to point B. And in the process, her metabolism slows down more and more over time, and she gets more frustrated. And I say, you probably have done this yourself before or know someone that has, right? And everyone has. Everyone knows someone that has lost and regained weight, whether it be themselves or a good friend. Say, great. So that explains how we train, why we train the way we train here, okay? So when it comes to nutrition, I like to keep it simple, okay? And I focus on quality, quantity, balancing, timing. Quality will get you 80-90% to your goal. Now, if there's 2 things you're going to walk away from here, it's knowing A, to start every meal with protein, and B, carbs equal activity. And the way we start this foundation is with our Whole30 program. And I pull out this binder we have with the Whole30 program. I talk about the benefits, talk about how the community built it, and all the benefit, all the awesome stuff about it. And I explain exactly what it is. And then I add these in. So benefits of Whole30 is that you're going to find weight loss anywhere 10 to 15 pounds. You're going to improve your mindset and relationship towards food. You're going to increase energy. It's very simple, and it creates lasting, sustainable eating habits. And I say, okay, cool. So going off those two simple rules I showed you, rule number one, start every meal with protein. And number two, we start every carbs equal activity. Here's how we want to structure our day to get the best result. Start your day with protein, fat, and vegetables. Next, go into protein and carbs, work out, then protein and carbs, and then back to protein, fat, vegetables, and protein, vegetables. And now, this may not look exactly like your day, but the point is, when did we have our carbs? We had our starches around our workout, didn't we? Okay, perfect. And there was a reason why for that. Simply, we need to fuel up our gas tank before a workout, and then we need to refill it after our workout. That's how we maximize a great training session. I'll flip back to the page where it shows all the workout stuff. And that's how we get the most from our training, and that's how we also stabilize our blood sugar throughout the rest of the day. Because I don't know how much you know about diabetics or blood sugar or insulin response, and I basically go into explanation of how insulin affects fat storage and fat loss. Let's skip over this a little bit. And then here's the massive thing. So I say, so there's two sides of the story. There's our hormones and our habits. And you can probably agree that our hormones are going to dictate what we eat, when we eat, and everything else. Our stress levels, right? All those crazy hormones that we abuse with our food, abuse with lack of sleep, and abuse by living high-strung, stressful lives, right? You've probably felt this, haven't you? I'm saying all these things that elicit a yes, because everyone has felt this. And say, the thing is, though, by implementing these simple rules for yourself and implementing this workout program that you'll be doing with us, notice how I future paced it right there, you're going to find more success. You're going to feel better. Your hormones are going to be taken care of, so you just focus on your habits, and it's that easy. Because realistically, the real transformation comes from mindset. And then here's where you want to share your story. So let me see if I don't have my story here. So I say, I'll start to open up about how I was depressed, stopped working out, hadn't worked out in another gym for 4 months, gained 40 pounds. I was stress eating, I wasn't sleeping, I was living off caffeine. Why? So this connects me with them, the mom that has nothing in common with me. Suddenly we have a similar story because she's had her own struggles and frustrations. And it's cool because it opens up the opportunity for her to connect with me, which is huge. And I talk about how the change has to come from our heart and our head. And realistically, we help people transform. I always say this. I say, you can go to 100 different gyms, 100 different diet plans, and they all work, but it's not a question of which one works. It's a question of which one works for you and keeps working. And honestly, surrounding yourself, and I build up as much value as I can, surrounding yourself with a community of women that are just like you, and coaches that love and support you as you focus on yourself is going to set the stage for long-term lasting success. And that will usually bridge an emotional connection. And then I say, cool, so I want to share a story with you. So, I tell a little bit of our story, how we started, why we left the school system, what we've grown into, what makes us unique is that we use a system, which I explained already. Here you go. Here's a story. And of course, we get results. It's what matters. And I share each one of these stories. And I hammer home the community future pace them. Say, here's the exact family that you're going to be training with. You're going to be working out together with them on a weekly basis. It's going to be incredible, isn't it? You can probably see how much fun it is, right? And I talk about the events we did here. And then I say the secret to our program is support, community, accountability from coaches, encouragement from members, and positive environment. Like I said, you can get a great workout anywhere. That's not the focus. The focus is helping you and making sure you want to keep working out. That's where the magic happens. I talk about how we do stuff outside the gym together, more stories. I say, cool. So let's go ahead and most of all, we mix lifting weights and having fun because we need you to have fun, right? And then you get them to agree again. And you say, okay, cool. Let's see how you move. So what we do at this point, we take them for a short workout, and during that workout, basically we want to make as much connection, build as much rapport as possible with them. So I'm high-fiving them. I take them through foundational movements such as a squat, overhead press, TRX row, and push up, and I showed them a sample workout program, how we're going to be doing it together in their program at Future Pace, but I also demonstrate exactly what they're doing and what they're getting, okay? And then I take them through maybe 2 to 3 sets, and then have them do a short metabolic portion at the end to get their heart rate up, get their emotions flowing, and I don't kill them. I just base it off of what they give me, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. So more, whoops. Okay. So here's the most important thing. So I come back to the questionnaire at this point. Let's see, where is this is the most important thing. Say, okay, Alice, what's the number one benefit you're looking for from a program? They're gonna say weight loss. They'll probably gonna be more open. Oh, I want to lose 50 pounds. Okay, that's a real specific number. Why'd you say that? Matching and mirroring the whole time, open-ended questions, right? And then from here we're gonna say, what about that's important to you? And you might need to ask this in a few different ways, a few different times. Sure, and what about that's important if they don't give you something very specific? Because basically what the level you want to get to with them is, I just want to feel good about myself again. And then the reason why that's probably important is I look in the mirror, I look like this sad, fat, unhappy person, that they're going to give you some really raw description like that, and that's perfect. That's what you want because they're being honest with themselves. They're probably going to start tearing up at this point. If you don't feel the connection with them and you don't see it in their eyes, you need to use those pattern interrupts that I talked about in the first video. And then we ask this series of questions 3 times, because a lot of times the answer may not come out in the first one, it may come out in the second one. It may feel redundant and dumb, but I can promise you this works, and it works well if you really find what is painful and focus on it. I've had people come to me and say, I want to lose these 50 pounds because I actually absolutely hate myself when I look in the mirror, and I don't think I deserve. I walk into a shopping mall and I avoid shopping malls now because I'm so embarrassed and I feel so bad that when I wear nothing ever fits me and I feel terrible about myself. That's the type of answer you want, because yes, it's harsh and it's not pretty, but honestly, the more honest you get them to be with themselves, the more you can help them. The more they can help themselves if they choose not to work with you. And then you always ask, what stopped you in the past? And this is a huge question. So let's say it's that mom that, she just wants to be there. She wants to set the role model for her kids. And I say, well, what stopped you in the past from doing this? And then they're probably going to say something like, I just haven't put myself first. I didn't think I was worth it. Or here's where you pull out the pattern interrupts, right? And this is where you say, are you honestly committed? Do you think you deserve to make a change? You ask those questions when they get to this point with you. It goes a massively long way. I'll have to maybe record one of my consultations so you see what I mean. But this should be the bread and butter of everything. This is the lead up. This is what we've been working all this for. And then if they sound good, say, after I help you reach these goals, and then repeat them back to you, lose the 40 pounds, increase energy, drop into size 2 for the first time in 10 years. What's that going to change in your life day to day, minute to minute? They're going to give you, and say, paint the picture. They're going to paint it out very, very clearly for you. And then say, what happens if you don't reach this goal? What if you don't take action today? And then they're going to realize if they don't do something now, it's going to be miserable, just like it is right now. And then you say, and they're going to tell you that, right? Or something along those lines. And say, how committed are you to honestly reaching these goals? And if they sound very committed, say, great, well, I want to invite you into our program. So here's how we say that. So I usually write this out. I say, get unlimited metabolic workouts, so you always have opportunity to do our team training cardio. You'll get a fully customized program like we talked about. Just feed them back everything you told them. You get a full support from the woman here that you train with and our online community. Accountability from your coaches. We're actually going to be checking that you're showing up to your workouts. And you get the Harpo money if you want. There you go. And we're going to start you with the orientation program to make sure you get set off on the right foot. So, a lot of different ways to do this. Excuse me. I've been drawing out this way and it's working. So I won't write 6-month gold, 6-month VIP. So I'll write, 2x at the top, 3x at the top. And then I'm sorry, gold, then VIP. And then I do write out the 2x, 3x in the second row. I say, so it's either twice a week or 3 times a week. This price today, it's either $1,500 or $1,800. or say 1,500 for twice a week, or 1,800 for 3 times a week. If you sign up today, right now, take $300 off either one. This should be 1,500, and we'll get you started right away. Schedule for your orientation, and don't say a damn thing. Wait for them to speak, because if you speak and you start scrambling trying to justify it, you're going to flop the sale, and they're probably not going to sign up. So, you know, this is a whole nother thing we can go on, but this is one way to do it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You could start with monthly rates and say, would you want to save some money and pay in full? That works as well. Start high and go low. You're going to find it a lot to be easier. So that's it. As soon as you get a commitment and let them decide and overcome their objections, if there are any, then you say, perfect. You move this price sheet away immediately and say, let's get you scheduled for your orientation. They're going to say yes. Okay, don't worry about the money yet. Get them booked in for an appointment. Okay, and then say, what 2 days work best for you? Great. What time frame are you looking at? Perfect. And then punch them in and say, okay, great, let's get your membership set up. What's the best card to use for this membership? That's it. So use this as your tool for success in sales, and I will see you on the Overcoming Objections video.